Hello, everyone. I'm Andrew Hamilton. I'm the president of NYU, and it's a great pleasure to all of you who are parents of first-year students to welcome you warmly to the university, and to parents of returning students, welcome back to the start of a new academic year. And at the outset, let me offer a word of thanks, a very warm word of thanks to NYU parent Francine Holt. And Francine will be moderating today's webinar, and she has been an incredible partner for us in helping facilitate communication between parents and the university. Now, my wife Jenny and I have raised 3 now adult children, so I know well that sending one's kids off to college always requires both a leap of faith and a lot of nerves. So I can well imagine what is going through all of your minds as you send your child off to college in the middle of a global pandemic. But don't fret, don't worry. Today you will hear updates on NYU's plans and expectations for students who will be on campus this fall, those also who will be based at our global sites, and for those who will be studying remotely this semester. But before we get to those details, let me emphasize again and again that our #1 priority this semester will be the health and well-being of our students, our faculty, and our staff. This past summer has been a summer like no other. NYU's COVID-19 prevention and response team worked tirelessly throughout the summer, following the guidance of the health authorities and experts in developing a comprehensive set of safety protocols that will apply for this fall semester. And our plans for the semester are very much based on a number of guiding principles, putting the safety of our community first, but while also continuing our commitment to NYU's academic mission and the educational progress of our students. We also have the principle, the expectation that each individual in our community has a responsibility for the collective well-being of the entire NYU community. And also the recognition that NYU must not only combat the spread of COVID-19 in our own community, but that we must also contribute and be part of efforts to protect fellow residents of New York City. Now, today is the first day of classes for the 2021 academic year. We have about 6,500 students who've moved into our residence halls. The residences are deliberately de-densified. We've reduced the density down from what would normally be about 11,000 students in our residence halls. Of course, those coming from abroad or from the 33 states that New York State requires to quarantine upon arrival in New York, those students have now completed their quarantine. 2,700 of them were in our residence halls, which we opened 2 weeks ago to accommodate them. Every student, as well as every faculty member and every staff member who will be present on campus, has also been tested for COVID-19 before entering any university facility. Now, in large part, move-in, both for the quarantining students and for the students who arrived in the past couple of days, move-in went pretty well. And for those who arrived in quarantine, they know that we had some initial missteps, particularly in delivering meals to those quarantining students. And I express my regrets and apologies to the students and their parents for those early days where we were working out the complex logistics of delivering meals to many thousands of students. But I'm pleased to say that our team worked incredibly hard and improved immensely and very quickly remedied the issues. And I'm pleased to say that the second week of quarantine went much better. At least I heard very good things from students and from parents. Otherwise, I've been also pleased to see that testing has gone smoothly. And so far, the rate of positive tests has been low. As of the end of last week, out of more than 17,000 tests that have been carried out, there were 15 positive results, less than 0.1% of those tested. Of course, we are ensuring that those with positive tests are now in isolation and are being closely monitored. We are also in the process of setting up a dashboard so that students and their families can track the rate of positive tests on campus. I'm also pleased to report that in great measure, students are complying with our strict safety protocols. There have been some lapses and there have been some consequences, including approximately 20 suspensions of students for breaching our rules. We have made those, we've taken those steps and implemented those consequences to reflect the seriousness with which we intend to enforce our safety and health rules throughout the entire semester. Health precautions are not the only changes that you will see at NYU this semester. Our faculty have worked hard all summer to create rewarding and rigorous online courses for those classes that must be held online and for those students who will be attending class remotely. And our staff, in addition to their hard work facilitating the students' arrivals in the last few days, have also prepared an array of virtual events to offer students engaging social experiences and to make sure they are fully aware of everything that's going on at NYU. You can be sure, parents, that throughout the semester, I will continue to communicate any important updates, any important changes, both to our students, but also to you. Now, while this year is very different for all of us, and it's far from the year that we had hoped to be beginning, nonetheless, NYU has solid plans in place in which you and we can all be confident. Studying at NYU is an extraordinary experience. This is a great university in an amazing city, and we are fully committed to giving your children the quality education that they expect and that they deserve. Thank you for entrusting your children to us, and know that it's a responsibility that we take very seriously. We are delighted that each and every one of them are students, new and continuing, and each and every one of you, parents, are now part of the NYU family. Now, in the next few minutes, hour or so, my colleagues will be updating you with many further details about life at NYU this semester. We're going to have a discussion moderated by Francine Holt. Let me again thank her for being the moderator. Let me thank all of you for participating this afternoon. And Francine, let me hand over to you. The floor is yours. Francine.
Thank you, President Hamilton. Thank you for everything that you're doing. We're so grateful. Hello to my fellow NYU parents, and welcome to the NYU Returns webinar. I'm Francine Hope, parent to Alexis, who is a third-year student at the Tisch School of the Arts. Some of you may know me as the moderator of 3 Facebook groups for NYU parents. Today, we're going to be hearing from administrators about health and wellness, academics, housing, dining, and student life. I will be asking administrators questions that NYU parents have submitted in advance. If you have any additional questions or want something clarified further, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. NYU will try to address any unanswered questions in future communications. Let's begin with questions about health and wellness. With me today are Carlo Citoli, Associate Vice President for Student Health and Executive Director of Student Health Care Center, Zoe Ragusios, Associate Vice President for Sexual Misconduct Support Services, Assistant Vice President for Student Mental Health, and Executive Director of Counseling and Wellness Services, and Melissa Carter, Associate Director for Global Spiritual Life and Head of Mindfulness Education and Innovation. Thank you all for being here today. Can each of you take a moment to tell us about your offices and roles? Carlo, Zoe, and Melissa, do so in that order.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Carlo Cipriano, the Executive Director of the Student Health Center, as you said, Associate Vice President for Student Health, and I oversee our medical, mental health, health promotion, and Center for Students with Disabilities. I also am the lead for the university's COVID-19 prevention and response team, and I'm a physician and an internist and pulmonologist by training.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Zoe Ragusios. I hold a PhD in social work, and I'm the Assistant Vice President for Student Mental Health. I've been in this role since 2009, and I oversee the mental health emergency response services, mental health clinical services, psychiatry, and sexual misconduct support. Over 20 years, I also did 3 degrees at NYU with some breaks in between. So I also know something about what it's like to be a student here.
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa Carter and I'm the Interim Senior Director for Global Spiritual Life and the Head of Mindfulness Education and Programming, and we speak to all religious and spiritual life on campus, including a robust programming for yoga and meditation. I've been here for the last 2 years and newly appointed into the Interim Senior Director role.
Great, let's dive into some questions. There are a lot of questions about COVID-19, so I'll start with those. Carlo, will students be tested throughout the semester?
Absolutely, yes. President Hamilton alluded to the testing that we did upon arrival, but we will continue to test throughout the semester. Our plan right now is that we will use a home saliva test so that faculty, staff, and students we'll be able to test roughly between every week and every other week throughout the semester, which will allow us to, 1, identify anyone in the community who may have be infected without showing symptoms, as well as keeping very close track on the number of cases we have week in and week out, so that, again, we can intervene as necessary to ensure that we have a safe semester. So in short, everyone will be required to test throughout the semester if they plan to be on campus, again, with a frequency of roughly every week to 2 weeks.
Carlo, can you also tell me what plans will NYU implement to reduce the risk of COVID-19 for NYU students?
Sure. And again, we are, as President Hamilton alluded to, months in the planning, consultation, both with our internal faculty experts, CDC, State Department of Health, City Department of Health, and have really put together, I think, a robust plan. I think core and fundamental to that plan is the assurance that people really adhere to appropriate public health behaviors. If to those of us who were here in New York during the spring, when we were the epicenter, what really got us to where we are now, which is a state and a city that has among the lowest rates in the country and has sustained that, is people doing what they need to do. And that is wearing their masks. That is staying the appropriate distance from other people. That's staying home if you're sick. That's washing your hands. And we have supported that with policy, with educational campaigns, with a broad public health campaign, with our student public health ambassador program that really helps to norm a lot of those behaviors, so that if everyone does that, just foundationally, I think it puts us in a great spot. Above and beyond that, we have done things structurally to facilitate social distancing. Again, as was alluded to, we have de-densified the residence halls. Classrooms have been set up with significantly reduced class size. We have, with our facility staff, managed the ingress and egress out of buildings, signage in buildings that again allows for appropriate distancing, reduced the amount of people in other indoor spaces, policy around gatherings, all of which is intended to facilitate social distancing. We have incorporated a daily screener that allows access into buildings. So every single day, whether you're student, faculty, or staff, you will be asked to report through an app whether you've had any symptoms consistent with COVID, whether you've had a temperature the night before or that morning, whether you've had any contact with anyone with COVID, or you yourself may have had COVID. And that is tied to your access to buildings. Again, another layer of safety. I will say, fundamentally, one of the things that we have thought about is this notion of layers of safety, where each of these interventions layers on another level of support and safety for the community. We touched a bit on testing, which again is a critical aspect to this. And testing is important because, again, it allows us to identify very early anyone who might be infected, get them isolated, do aggressive contact tracing, and we have established our own internal contact tracing team, which we are working with in collaboration with the city's contact tracing efforts. So we feel that we have very good wraparound support for contact tracing so that anyone who is exposed can get quickly tested, put into quarantine, again, minimizing further transmission. And then we've set up our clinical services for students in a way that allows some of them to be delivered through telehealth so that, again, we minimize the number of students coming in, but also allows for in-person visits to those who might need it. So that's I think, some of the key aspects of the work that we've done to create really an overarching plan to support the safety of our students and the entire community throughout the semester.
Many parents are wondering what would happen if NYU has 100 cases. Will you quarantine the kids or you send them home? What would happen with those students?
Sure. So one of the things that we will do and as part of our overarching plan is we will be constantly tracking key metrics. And that includes certainly case counts, number of students we might have in isolation and quarantine, adherence to these various behaviors that we want them to be. And we will act on those metrics depending on how quickly they move, these sort of absolute numbers that we see. And I would say one of our early interventions might be to shift to online classes if we're seeing an uptick in numbers. Now, you mentioned the number 100, and that now has become a magical number in New York State because just this past weekend, the governor added to his guidance for institutions of higher education by setting either 100 cases in a rolling 14-day period or 5% of the on-campus community being a confirmed case, in which case there is a mandate to go to online learning. So certainly we will be tracking our numbers closely. I'm confident that we hopefully will not get there, but if we do, the initial mandate is to go to online classes for a period of 2 weeks, engage the health department, assess the situation, and if they feel comfortable that you have the situation under control, allow reversion back to in-person classes.
Okay. So Zoe, let's chat a little bit about mental health. What can I do as a parent to contribute to my child's success at NYU?
Thanks, Francine. I'd like to begin by offering my congratulations to the parents and their students for getting this far, especially in these extraordinary times. This is certainly an accomplishment. I'm going to very briefly run down some tips and things to think about Most importantly, my best advice is to trust your student. You got them this far, and it's not by accident that they're here with us now. Keep the lines of communication open between you and your student, and have some conversations in advance that we know doing this work will inevitably come up as they progress through college. These include the frequency of communication that you plan to have, finances, and personal safety, including your expectations around drugs and alcohol. We advise you to be interested not only in what grades your child is getting, but on what they are learning. We advise you to ask them about their friends, ask what they're getting involved in, and don't forget to share what's going on with you as well. Encourage your child to get involved. Community service feels good, and it makes them feel like they have a sense of belonging, which ultimately does reflect itself in their grades. They need to eat and sleep well, and you will be called upon numerous times to suggest healthy ways of coping and how they could take care of themselves. Finally, I would say it's critically important that you encourage them to ask for help when they need it, whether that's academically, psychologically, or otherwise. There's numbers of units on this call today that purely exist to ensure that your student is succeeding. The health center clinicians, the residence hall staff, the academic advisors, spiritual life advisors, and many others. As far as my service goes, we have a 24/7 hotline for students. It can also be used by their families if they have concerns. So do not hesitate to let us know if your child is struggling, or if you think they need counseling support. Again, that's a 24/7 service they have access to. You can email us at wellness.exchange@nyu.edu. There's also a 24/7 chat service for students. All they have to do is download the NYU Wellness Exchange app for access to counseling support over chat. And in closing, I'd like to offer you a simple reminder that your students still need you. They have succeeded by getting here, but there's a whole lot of succeeding still yet to do. And with that, inevitably would come some struggle. Expect that struggle, work on it in advance, plan for it, plan how you would respond, how they will respond, which will allow things to go a lot more smoothly.
Zoe, as a helicopter mom, I must admit that, there's been times that I needed to call and reach out to someone because I thought my child was struggling. Can you express how can a parent, reach out if their child is struggling to someone at NYU?
Sure. Very simply, call the Wellness Exchange hotline. It's on the back of all student IDs. I'll say the number here, 212-443-9999. It's a 24/7 service. It's always responded to by a licensed mental health professional, and we are happy to receive any information that you have related to how your child is doing. We will hear your concerns, and we will do what's most appropriate. We'll have a conversation with you, and we will very likely reach out to the student. There is an issue of confidentiality for everybody over the age of 18. We will need a release in order to give you back information. That being said, if your student is willing to sign a release, even now, early in the beginning of their college career, we can keep that release on file and be able to have a two-way conversation with you throughout their college experience. In any case, however, calling that hotline 24/7 allows us to get the information from you and do the right thing clinically after that.
Melissa, I want to say that my daughter suffered and did a lot of work with the spiritual guidance at NYU in one of the organizations. Can you tell me more about the resources that they have for NYU students that are struggling with spiritual guidance?
Absolutely, Francine, and I'm so happy that your daughter was able to benefit from the services. Over at Global Spiritual Life, we have over 70 Global Spiritual Life Advisors. We call them Spiritual Life Advisors. It's a diverse group of beings from various faith traditions, and they are available by email, by appointment. They are meeting students, and all you have to do is reach out to Global Spiritual Life. Let us know who you want to speak with in terms of your faith tradition, any preferences that you have, what your needs are, and we'll connect you to a spiritual life advisor. And this is someone great to talk to for any guidance or advisements, as you said, and also for a student that's looking to broaden or deepen their community for their faith, for their spiritual life on campus, that spiritual life advisor will point them in the right direction as well.
That was very informative. Thank you so much for joining us. I must admit that my daughter used both services, and I made my life as a parent so much better, or easier, I should say. You know, next we're going to ask some questions about academic issues, and to answer those, we have Gigi DePuccio, I apologize in advance, Vice Provost for Undergraduate Academic Affairs for the Humanities. Can you tell us a little about what you do at NYU?
Hi, sure. Thanks so much, Francine, and thanks to all of the parents for trusting us with your children. I've been a faculty member at NYU since 2000, and in my role as Vice Provost for Undergraduate Academic Affairs, I work in close collaboration with our school deans to oversee undergraduate academics across our 10 undergraduate schools that comprise about 27,000 students.
You know, fantastic. Let's get started with a couple questions. You know, where can students study or take remote classes if they can't get back to their dorms or their apartment? And if you can, please tell me what happens in the library. Is it open to students? Can students move about freely, even if they have classes that are online? Can they sit in the library and take those classes, basically?
Sure. Thanks for the question, Francine. I can say that many things at NYU are going to be different this year, but our commitment to your children's education and academic growth are priorities alongside, obviously, our commitment to the health and safety of our community. So we put all kinds of plans in place to support students making academic progress. In terms of access to different spaces, students are going to be able to reserve study spaces and remote learning spaces through an app that's been designed for exactly this. Remote learning spaces so they can participate in remote classes if they're taking online classes and don't have the time to get back to their dorms or apartments in between classes, and also study spaces for quiet study. So these are areas both on campus and nearby in the neighborhood where students will be able to reserve for study sessions before, after, or in between classes. And I should add that the reservation system will allow students to make a reservation that might be for an entire semester. So if they're taking a class that meets online, and they know that they're going to need a seat for an online class from 2 to 3:30 every Wednesday, they can reserve in advance and have that prepared for them. You know, and most of these remote learning spaces will be in the heart of the Washington Square Village campus, as well as the Brooklyn campus, and convenient to many classrooms. So they'll be in Bopes Library, in the Silver Center, in 25 West 4th, in Dibner Library, and 370 J Street, among many others. The study spaces will be both in Bopes, in Kimmel, in the Global Center for Student and Academic Life, and a number of classroom suites. And there will also be some off-campus neighborhood private establishments, including restaurants and cafes that are not open for indoor dining. And these will all be physically distanced seats. Now, the top priority is safety. In terms of libraries, many of the in-person library activities will be offered online, will be offered in a remote format. So all our digital collections, over 3 million items, are going to remain available via the website. There will be online access to a number of these, and for students who are in New York, although they won't be able to browse the shelves as they might have in a non-COVID semester, they can access any of the library's material for contactless pickup, delivery, or scanning. And all our reference and research consultations will be offered as remote services for our library. So too will all our academic supports for our students.
Awesome. Thank you so much for those answers. We're going to transition now to housing and dining to answer some questions about housing and dining. Of course, those are the most asked questions by parents. I'm joined by Katie Bayer, Executive Director of Residential Life, and Neil Haran, Executive Director of Housing Services, Owen Moore, Associate Vice President of Campus Service. Can you each tell me about your roles at NYU? Kate, Neil, and Owen, can you do so in that order?
Sure. Hi. Thank you for having me. Welcome, everybody. Again, we're so happy to have students return to campus and bring life back into our residence halls. Like Francine said, my name is Kate Bayer. I'm the Executive Director of Residential Life and Housing Services. I can talk a little bit about what our department does. We're focused on really the whole student and making sure that in addition to having a safe and comfortable place to live, the student is connected to a community of professionals and paraprofessionals and peers who really are contributing to their growth while they're living with us in the residence halls and throughout their NYU career.
Thank you, Francine, and thank you, Kate. My name is Neil Hanrahan. I'm the Executive Director for Housing Services in the Office of Residential Life and Housing Services. I'm Kate's counterpart on the housing administrative side of the organization. We perform the centralized functions such as room assignments, room changes, etc., room selection. So while Kate does a wonderful job of ensuring that your children are sleeping well at night, my team do our best to make sure that they know where they live. So.
Hi, hello everyone. Owen Moore. I'm the Associate Vice President for Campus Services. Campus Services encompasses the bookstore, NYU Dining, which is our primary subject today. We also have the Kimmel Center for Student Life, also Skirball Center for Performing Arts, and we have a couple other logistical and reprographics areas. I am a double graduate of NYU, so not only do I get to work here, I have 2 degrees from NYU. So I understand. I also had a daughter who graduated from NYU. So I really do bleed violet, and I love being here. And I like the opportunity to speak with everyone today. And I also just want to note that I have a daughter who is across the country in California at a school. So from a parental point of view, I understand some of the challenges that we all face in these circumstances. So, you know, as Zoe says, communications with students is a great option. So thank you.
I wanted to ask some questions about, you know, what will life be like in the resident halls?
It's a great question. While things will be different, there will also be some things that are the same. So in the residence halls, we will have professional staff members, residence hall directors, residence hall assistant directors, residence hall resource managers who are there to assist students, serve as a connection point to other NYU resources, oversee the total operation of the residence halls. We also have a team of really enthusiastic, high quality RAs that are there to serve as a mentor and a friend and a guide and an information source and resource to students. And we've been working with the RAs to think about what does community look like when we might not be able to gather everyone together and to do the sorts of things that we have always done in the past. And so all of the RAs will be having one-on-one communications with each student. Those will be done remotely, so over Zoom or Google Hangouts, so that the RA has the time to touch base with the student, learn a little bit about them. The student can learn a little bit about the RA and connect with them, and then begin to get a sense of what they're hoping for in the year. What are their fears and concerns, and how can the RA support them? And we use those conversations to inform what is happening in the building throughout the course of the year. So based on what the students say or tell us, or what they don't say, or what the RA reads between the lines in those conversations, we'll plan a series of events that, even if we are not able to physically gather, we'll really seek to replicate those very rich moments that happen when you bump into someone in the hallway, or you bump into a bunch of people studying in the room. And we've thought about how we can connect students together and connect students to the supports in the residence halls and NYU, even if that doesn't look like it has in the past.
Speaking of enthusiasm, I want to know, what will the traditional giveaways look like for students moving in this week? And will the students that are quarantined also have access to those wonderful giveaways that, of course, we're going to miss out on? So please tell us, how can, those students get that NYU housing experience that, gosh, I just so love?
Well, and I hope this doesn't disappoint you, Francine, but the giveaway this year was very fitting to the time when all students arrived, be it they arrived at the quarantine time, so in the middle of August, or they arrived over the past couple of days. Every student's received a PPE goodie bag. So disposable masks, reusable masks, hand sanitizer, thermometers, which really does speak to our commitment to the health and safety of the student, gives them the tools that they need to be able to monitor their health. There will be time to come and other things to follow, but that was the first giveaway that all students will have received.
And here's another question. I think I'll ask Neil. Neil, can you tell me, can students have guests? That's one of the questions, like, can my friend come over and spend the night, or can we have bake-offs, in the dorm rooms?
Yeah, it's a very common question, Francine. Thank you for asking. And also, I've failed to thank all of the parents and the students during this quarantine period and during this check-in. We could not have expected a higher level of cooperation and compliance. It truly was amazing to see. I had an opportunity to walk the halls over the last 2 weeks and just making sure folks were safe and compliant. And in the 8 to 10 trips that I made through, not one incident did I find a student breaking quarantine. So the students are taking it serious. We have to follow, this is where one of those things where we have to follow their lead as well. We owe it to them for their sacrifice to do everything we possibly can to ensure their safety. As such, and Dr. Ciatoli mentioned, Kate had mentioned a number of initiatives being taken to ensure that we're maximizing that safety. One of which is the guest policy. So the guest policy, as it has been laid out and indicated before, there will be suspended for all residential students in the residence halls. So students will not be able to sign in, outside guests, parents even, and any non-residential students. We're actually including other residential students from other buildings. As of today, we are including other residential students within the same residence hall. These are policies that we're going to put in place. We will evaluate over time, and with the guidance of the health center and where we are, we will begin to potentially roll some of that back. And we would probably start sort of within the residence hall and so forth. Again, these are all in place to maximize the safety of the community, the safety of the individual. So,
are parents able to send their students mail in the dorms? And, specifically USPS mail, how are students able to receive their mail while they're living in the dorms?
Absolutely. Each residence hall has its own mail front desk operation with direct mail delivery from the U.S. Postal Service, from mail carriers, etc. All students residing in the residence halls can avail themselves, and parents should feel free to send along a package or mailing. A few things. It should be addressed directly to the student. It should include the U.S. postal address, and along with the residence hall room or unit that the student is in. I would avoid saying anything about NYU in that mailing, because what might happen at the local distribution center is they may see NYU and then direct it into mail services in NYU. That would ultimately delay. So just simply, Neil Hanrahan, 726 Broadway, room 756, New York, 10003. That's going to be the directest route to your child. If you want a listing, for some reason your child hasn't told you what their residence hall address is, you should feel free to Google NYU residence hall. The first thing that pops up is a listing of all the residence halls. If you click on the link, you will see the address on that page.
For a more serious question, I want to go to Kate. Students living in the dorm, if they test positive, what happens?
Sure. This is a great question, and I would imagine that many parents have the same question, and our response here is critical to the health and safety of our community. And so we work very closely with the Student Health Center. If a student has tested positive, we are alerted, as our other colleagues at the university who need to hop in and provide supports to that student. Carlo talked a little bit about the testing regimen. And so following that, we are contacted by the Student Health Center. Students who test positive are placed in isolation. When a student is placed in isolation, we contact them by phone to talk with them, see how they're doing, talk about what the next period of time is going to look like, what we need them to do during that period of time, and then also what we will be doing to support that student. There will be follow-up from our office, from wellness, from the Student Health Center. We will talk to them about how meals and food will be provided to them. We talk to them about what they should be bringing or preparing as they are moving into isolation, but also we have a set of student kits that we can provide to them. So cleaning supplies, students are provided linens and things like toilet paper and trash bags, and also essentials that a student might not think they need, but once they are in isolation will remember, oh, I do need utensils and paper plates and something to drink from, and shampoo and conditioner and a toothbrush and a toothpaste. And so we want to support students during that time by providing those things. We have a team of staff that can be contacted if the student has questions about their time in isolation, things that they need. If they identify there's trouble in the room, we definitely want to be responsive and supportive to the student, especially because they can't leave the room the way other students would in order to get assistance. And so we have staff members that are there to respond to the student. And then we also follow up with the health center if there's any additional action that needs to follow, depending on contact that student might have had with roommates or others.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for those questions. And of course, I want to talk about food. Everyone wants to know about food, and more food. This question is for Owen. Owen, what is NYU Dining doing to keep students safe?
Sure. So a couple things, and I hope everyone can hear me well, is first of all, let's talk about how the day starts. So when the dining employees, prior to even showing up today, all our dining employees and our Chartwell's employees have been tested. And so we know that they have a negative test even before showing up to campus to work. When they show up to campus for work, even prior to clocking in for their shift, they are given a daily screener, which includes a temperature reading. So all that's done prior to even employees entering our buildings. And then we have the protocols that we have in place of wearing face masks. We have social distancing in our kitchens and production areas. And the good news there is that now we're producing our products on site in the atmospheres that we want. And then there is constant cleaning going on back of house and front of house. And then also all employees are wearing gloves in which they change at a minimum of every 30 minutes. So those are all kind of the very kind of technical pieces of what we're doing with the employees. The other aspect is the customer-facing areas. So we have clear partitions that were installed in our dining locations. We will not have self-service for the first semester due to the guidelines that are established by New York State Forward. So all food will be served. We have a lot of to-go items. We have limited the amount of contact services. So even when a student comes in, they don't have to give a cashier or a person their card. They simply just tap their ID and then they proceed in through the line. We also have enhanced all of our locations with more mobile apps, allowing students to order in advance so they can go and pick up items and limit their time and their comfort level into our dining locations. And then lastly, just for a program that we've had for years, and we certainly will continue it this year, is if any student wants to have a tour of our facilities, front of house or back of house, they can arrange that with our NYU dining team, and we'll more than happy to tour them into the kitchens, into the production areas, so we can see how we safely manage our products and our processes to serve students.
Okay, great. That I have a question about, a lot of questions about the locations. We've been posting a lot about what dining locations we open and where the students go to get their food. Can you tell us more about the locations, that the dining halls for the students?
Sure. So we have our most popular and our largest locations open. One of the things that we did on Sunday for prior to students arriving and or when they were coming out of their quarantine was sent them an email on kind of what the expectations were, that are going to be a little bit different, but also the links to the dining locations on campus. And in that links, we have an NYU Eats app. We have a Grubhub app. And in those apps, we have all the hours of operations, locations, and then also menus. When you arrive to a dining location, you can actually see the menus. There's QR codes that you can actually see that menu at that time, but you could also see nutritional information and things that's available. And then if you get to a particular location, and I'll use Lipton for an example, and Lipton is one of the only, if not the only, full halal service dining hall in college universities in the United States. So we're very proud of that. And we also have a full kosher facility on campus. Both are open and running as well. When you go to that location, every location has a minimum of 3 customer experience ambassadors who can talk to you about not only what's happening in that dining locations, but other dining locations. Could also tell you, where can I go eat? So right now, New York City does not allow seating in restaurants. That includes dining halls. So our customer experience ambassadors will point students to lounges, open air spaces, and other areas besides their room that they can go sit down and have a bite to eat. So from a customer standpoint, we have staff, we have maps, we have all our digital content on apps and online that these students can have access to. And finally, and for parents as well, how to contact us. So if you have a question, you have a challenge, we have a call center that is open from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. We kept the call letters very simple. It's Ask Campus Services. And then we also have a number, which I'll share with everyone. And it's also on our web pages and all our communications, 212-998-4900. And students can reach out to us there. And we have a staff, we have nutritionists available that can respond to their needs as quickly as possible.
Perfect, thanks. Food is so important for the children and for the kids that are attending NYU. I want to go back and ask a question about, can students attend NYU remotely this fall, to Vice Provost DePicchio.
Hi. Thanks so much, Francine. It's a question we've heard a lot, and yes, absolutely, students can attend NYU remotely this fall. We've, to ensure compliance with both state and CDC guidelines, we're offering our courses in 3 different formats. And let me talk about those a little bit and then talk about the different ways students can attend. The first format is in person. This is, our traditional way of teaching at NYU, except for the fact that all class sessions are going to be held in de-densified classrooms with all kinds of safety procedures, from mask wearing to seat assignments. Students must sit in the same seat throughout the semester to facilitate contact tracing. The second format are online classes. So this is where all the class sessions are held online. I want to make clear though that these aren't the kind of, I don't know, drive-through courses that you might find elsewhere. All of our online classes include meaningful interaction with the faculty member and other students. A faculty member is meeting with the students and exchanging with them literally every class meeting. You know, and teams of educational technologists have been working intensively and really creatively with faculty who are teaching online courses to make sure that their classes are interactive and engaging. And we've seen just amazing pedagogical ingenuities come from the switch to online classes. The third modality is blended, and these are classes that are a combination of in-person and online. And the model that most blended classes are adopting is dividing the class into two cohorts that rotate between attending the class online and attending in person. Now, and the idea for offering various modalities is really to be as flexible as possible in terms of students' choice of how they want to attend. Students can attend in person, they can attend remotely, they can attend via Go Local, where mostly international students might choose to enroll in one of the global sites that is close to them. And they might start out remotely and then decide to come to NYU later in the semester, or vice versa. We were really hoping to be as flexible as possible, but yes, all students may attend remotely if they so desire. And one of the questions that came up in the Q&A was, is this true also for HEOP students? Yes, it's also for our opportunity programs.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to NYU for the flexibility, and that's really important that our children are allowed to, have that flexibility during this pandemic. And thanks for your answer. I really appreciate it. Finally, we're going to talk about student life and equity, diversity, and inclusion to Tava Bingham, Director of Operations and Club Life in the Office of Student Life, and Monroe France, Associate Vice President for Global Engagement and Inclusive Leadership. So glad you both could join us.
Hi, Francine. Happy to be here.
Yes, thank you. All right, let's get right to some questions. First question for Tara. What would virtual engagement look like in the fall semester?
Yeah, so we are very excited for this upcoming fall semester. It's here. Happy first day of classes. So we have over 300 events on the schedule for our students. All will be done virtually. Those events are going to range from trivia nights, workout classes, hangouts based on special interests, and a wide variety of other things. So we have been doing these programs over the summer as well as the past few weeks for our quarantine students to really great success. So we're excited to continue on with these wonderful opportunities for our students.
Okay, what is Club Fest and when is Club Fest and how are students able to connect?
Yes, so Club Fest is our biannual club fair that we host. And so Club Fest this year will be, for the first time ever, over 2 days on a weekend. So it'll be September 12th and the 13th. We will have over 500 clubs that are going to be participating. It'll be virtually on Engage. So one of the great things about being virtual is that we're not confined to spaces, and so while typically would have occupancy limits, now we don't. And so we'll have a number of clubs that are there for students, some of them special interest-based clubs, some of them related to their majors. And so make sure our students plug in that date, September 12th and 13th for Club Fest.
Perfect. So when is Parents' Day, and when can I get and how can I get the information about Parents' Day? Because that was a really big deal for me when my kid was a freshman.
Absolutely. So our Parent and Family Weekend will be virtual for the first time ever. And so go ahead and pencil in these dates. October 22nd to the 25th is when that will take place. It will include live events as well as panels, on-demand videos, including virtual tours and lectures, opportunities to chat one-on-one with other attendees, some alumni special networking sessions, some Black alumni socials, and alumni meetups. There will also be a virtual 5K, so if anyone wants to start their training now, go ahead and do so. We'll have some live town halls from our schools and college deans, as well as from the New York campuses, Shanghai, and Abu Dhabi campuses. There will be a live update from NYU President Hamilton as well. So registration will open up later this month. There will be a link posted in the chat where you can go to that link and sign up for a reminder. You will also be able to sign up for our parents newsletter, which goes out and provides valuable information on what's going on campus for our students, just to make sure you don't miss out on anything.
Awesome. You know, I have a question for Monroe. Monroe.
Hi, Francine. Thank you.
Thank you. With the pandemic and now the movement, you know, I want to know what programs, diversity programs at NYU have, and are there any programs or resources for parents, and how can we get involved?
Great, thank you. Great question. So over the summer, we have scaled up all of our programs and moved them to online. In fact, this evening, we have our walk-in program for our students, which will be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we encourage our students and even parents to log on for that program as well if you're interested. All of our programs are generally open to the full community. You can find out more about our programs on our Office of Global Inclusion website, which we update regularly with details about programs. What you'll also find there are recent programs that we've had. We've now decided to video every single discussion we've had over the summer, speaking about anti-racism, racial justice, and how we can create a more inclusive NYU, but also a more inclusive society. And so with a lot of our programs, our goal is to educate our students, educate our community, and to give concrete actions that can be taken to create a better world, a better campus, and also to provide students with tips and steps they can take to grow their learning, and also to give them resources to do that. And so on our website, our anti-racism website, which is just posted in the chat box, you'll find a link to many, many resources that we've compiled. Many of our faculty who've written great articles, in addition to videos, and also resources such as websites and articles that our students can use to do greater learning and to their development and their growth.
Awesome. You know, this has been great. Thank you so much for your valuable questions, answers rather. And, you know, I must admit that we have had so many questions in the live Q&A that we're unable to get to them, but I promise you NYU will get to them. And just, you know, go online, please read your emails and check back just to get the answers to your questions. And you can also join, let me put a little plug in there, the NYU Parent Support Facebook group, where we have an inclusive group of parents helping new parents, and it's really a great team. You know, I wanted to thank President Hamilton, all of the NYU administrators who took time out of their schedule, and a big thank you to all the parents who joined to do this webinar. And just a reminder, NYU Returns website, oh gosh, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little nervous. NYU Returns website, so that anyone who missed it can view it. Please continue to check NYU Returns for the most up-to-date information about the fall 2020 semester, and keep checking your inboxes as NYU will continue to send updates and engage parents throughout the year. You know, I also want to encourage you to join the Remote Parents Weekend this year. It's going to be from October the 22nd through the 25th, you know, as they said before. And President Hamilton will be presenting a State of the University address for parents and alumni, and you don't want to miss it. You know, the more information you get, I can tell you, the more information I've gotten as a third-year parent, the easier the transition to releasing my child to NYU. And it's been a great, great experience. And finally, you know, the best of luck to the semester to all the students who are working so very hard during this, you know, I can't even say unusual. It's not even normal semester. I just want everyone to stay safe and healthy and just have a great day, and, you know, get the most out of NYU, because it is truly a beautiful journey. Bye for now.